Welcome everybody to our Technology and Strategic Planning Committee meeting for the month. We're we didn't have our meeting last month, so there was a couple things that we wanted to do for follow-up. I'm gonna get the Zoom link. Can I get that emailed to me so I can get my screen shared on here? I just wanted to pull up clear plan and just look at a couple things, but maybe while we try to figure that out, we'll move to the secondary part of my email where I was hoping that we could talk a little bit more about how we're taking the information from the strategic plan and then transferring that over into the budget process. I don't think that anything specifically we'll look at on clear plan, but what I think for all of us, just having a better understanding of that information.
Computer is not up and running yet either.
Okay.
What?
Ask me for the Zoom and you'll.
Okay.
So, okay. So
Yeah.
Steve's mentioned a little bit about the current service level. Oh, can I? Oh, just type it in. All right, I will do that. Thank you. So Steve has mentioned a little bit about the current service level and using that as a benchmark for all of our departments. I think I thought it would be good for us to better understand how that process is evolving and just kind of hear how they're using that in their discussions, and for us as we start our budget meetings. And then also I was just chatting with Steve about the budget and where we're at in terms of the gap. And I thought that Steve could update us on that as well. It obviously is very relevant to this whole discussion about how to leverage a strategic plan. So first, Steve, do you want to just chat a little bit about how we're taking the information from the strategic plan in terms of, the 2026 planning, which I think we confirmed at the board meeting that every department now is represented in the strategic plan.
Yes.
They aren't necessarily doing the quarterly updates. We don't have everybody on board, and thank you for the summary of who we're missing on the quarterly updates.
Yes.
And then you're taking that 2026 updated information and you're bringing it over into the budget process. And so can you just talk about that?
I will. Alan is printing up some copies of what we call a data collection tool. In which when someone asks for like the old program enhancements, this is also true when they propose budget reductions. We ask them, what is the priority outcome involved, right? What is the essential activity involved? And is there a CSL that is affected or you are proposing with this?
CSL.
Current service level.
The more quantitative experience. So we've asked that of folks. Like I say, Alan's going to bring that form. We are collecting those forms. We have all of their original ones. There were about 122 of those. And they amounted to, in terms of local costs, I think about $7.3 million. Okay. Of course, when we added all that up, right, it turned out there was a significant budget gap. Along the lines of about $14 million. So we went out last week and asked folks using a very similar form, tell us what you think is the least impactful way on services to cover this budget gap. Okay, and that stuff is all due to us today. COB today. Just got one this morning from public health. I haven't dived into it yet. But there is that one. You may have seen emails from different departments, especially the smaller ones, saying, we simply can't do this without laying people off. So those are definitely possibilities. Now, what we are saying to departments, what we're saying to departments is, this is not your proposal that you agree this is a great idea. The purpose of doing this is to tell the board what the impacts are, because all of this stuff is going to have a negative impact on the services we provide. But also, don't make us guess. Because if we have to guess, it's going to be the equivalent of an across the board cut. And let me just clarify what I mean by across the board cut. Okay? What we do is we add up for every department all their expenses proposed and of any sort. We add up all their revenues of any sort, not counting the property tax, and sales tax. We subtract those, and that comes up with each department's local cost. We then prorate the gap across their local costs. So the top ones are like DSS, the sheriff, and others, but even little ones, right? Veterans, codes, our office are seriously struggling to meet those cuts. And anecdotally, we're getting things like, I have to let somebody go, or we're going to do without any training or any materials. Some of the MNC employees are saying I can do without a raise, or if I'm due a step increase, I can do without that. There are other departments that say, frankly, they're not going to submit it. So
they're just saying they're not gonna.
they're not going to participate in cuts.
Okay, they're just saying they're
No.
just leaving it up.
No,
They're not gonna. They're gonna argue, but they're just leaving it up to us or to you
yeah,
to make those recommendations
yes. And so
in protest.
kind of.
Yeah.
These are much bigger budget reductions than certainly I have confronted since I've been here. And I think probably as far back as probably what many of you experienced in COVID. So there's a certain level of tension, even emotionality, in all of this. And as a matter of fact, department heads have requested to meet with board folks in a budget workshop, not to focus on specific things. We'll focus on those during the parent committee meetings that will happen a little bit later in October. But they just want to express their concerns directly to the board, not, if you will, through my office. Here's the form that we handed out, the data collection form. And so you can see here, this is for the decision analysis. And just say, department name, major budget code, proposal name submitted by, a summary. Here's all the quote, the number stuff there when it says budget detail, which is just what's the expense, We're also looking for the budget line so we can rack all this stuff up. And then we factor in all the different types of revenues. And then you see right at the bottom of the page, 2026 strategic plan integrations, priority outcome. That's at the bottom of the page. If you go to the next page, the essential activity, right? We then ask them to describe the impact of the budget request on 2026 service levels. Right? There are a variety of reasons for justifying this. It could be it's just a price level increase. It's just a new service. It could be a new mandate that wasn't there before. It could be we're going to increase service levels or reduce the service level. So we have all those, and it's kind of a series of drop down sort of a different category, if you will. We asked the department to rank this request relative to all their others. We asked them to describe the impact of inflation on budget requests. That's on page 2 in the middle of the page. Look at that for a minute. If you'll see that language there, it says a 1.74% municipal cost index inflation rate. At the time this was done in June, that inflation rate was actually developed in May, and that was the prediction of what costs would be in 26. That has since gone up substantially. I believe it's the last month I have was 207. But I believe that I believe that was the August one. And I suspect it will go more. We will, the budget team, I'll come to what the budget team is going to do to this in a minute. So I just wanted to point that out to you. And then the very last page, the so-called status quo effect. If it doesn't get approved, what does it mean? Okay. So what's going to happen is the budget team is doing this now. Right? We're going to take this form and analyze, right? We're going to make judgments about whether the specific thing that they do is in fact related to the essential activity or the priority outcome. We're also going to look hard at the price level increases, right? And using updated municipal cost index figures for that. And you'll essentially get the same document, but there'll be another box at the end with basically county administrator, budget analyst comments, which is saying, answering those kind of questions that I just shared with you.
Steve, are you gonna do this in like an Excel and put all of them from every department in there, or are you gonna keep it department by department?
This is an Excel document. We have a summary sheet that will be separate that we will collect, so we'll have the big picture for everyone. So what you should expect to get when about a week before your parent committees start happening is, if a department submitted paperwork like that, you'll get that. You will also get our analysis of that. So this is going to start to get to be a big package. You will also get a financial summary that basically says, I haven't actually built the Excel, but it will be the total request, the total revenues, the local costs, any reductions they have proposed, reductions the budget team has proposed, and hopefully that will balance out for each department. We've got a lot of work, so this is a bad time right now. We're also going to try to give you a strategic plan summary, which, if we can pull this off for each priority outcome, we're going to say this budget increases resources for it by X dollars, or more likely reduces resources for that, more likely, and kind of spread that out, but we haven't developed that. So you'll get those two summaries plus all this paperwork. And we're gonna give it to you guys and to the department at the same time, so everyone knows what the materials are, and then departments are gonna make their best case. They may be arguing for an increase, likely this year, because the budget gap is so big. They'll probably be fighting to preserve things.
And are you assuming that's gonna be our October, starting in our October committee meetings?
I am about to send out, after these meetings, an email to the board with the parent committee meetings. I spoke to leadership yesterday, thinking, we might just sort of have to negotiate a little bit on dates and times. And Ed makes just go forward. You'll never coordinate people's schedules, and if they can't make it, they can't make it.
With those, I mean, I'm assuming those meetings are, they'll be similar to last year downstairs and
They'll
still,
be downstairs,
And people
there'll be
can-
budget workshops.
which you can participate in by Zoom. Or no,
We do.
we did last year. That's what I'm just asking.
I appreciate that.
Board members can,
Right,
nobody else.
department heads will be there in person, but
Yes,
so for our committees, then if they can't be here in person, they can at least join by Zoom.
right. And I'm gonna do this by memory, so don't hold me to it until I get that email out. But I believe we are expecting on the maybe a little down, but October. On the 15th of October, I think we're gonna do IGA in the morning and SWEC. IGA in the morning at 9 and SWEC in the afternoon at 1. I believe that is Wednesday, the 15th. The IGA one is also going to include the external folks we fund, and they have not been held harmless.
We've asked them
Yes.
similar information?
No,
No.
no, they don't
It-
apply that. We simply said,
You've already reduced,
we need to reduce your request to X.
right?
You're welcome to come to the meeting.
You've already communicated that we are reducing the
That
request.
is happening momentarily.
Okay, they have not yet heard
They
this.
have not heard that.
And by external, you're saying Your CCE is
Yes,
IGA and
Yes.
destination marketing,
Yes.
is destination marketing in there?
yes.
And the IDA.
Yeah, and county fair,
Yeah.
NVED, all that.
Yep, got it.
And we applied the same methodology in terms of local share as a percentage of everything. So that would be on the 15th,
Unavailable on the 15th. I gotta check that right now. Sorry.
Is that when
Thank
IGA
you.
was that? No, I know. Well,
Well, I think it'll be what time?
It's a
so you
Wednesday.
say 1 o'clock
In the
for
morning.
IGA in the morning, IGA.
you want to switch it to the afternoon?
What time in the afternoon?
Yours is going to be a little bit longer because of the externals.
I can make that work. I'm in Delhi, that's why.
Want to say 1:30? 2?
2.
2? That might go to 5.
Fine.
Okay.
Select is gonna be what time on the 15th?
Then SWEC would be at 9.
What's that date again?
I'm gonna send this email.
Wednesday the 15th.
So that was Wednesday the
Yeah,
5th.
October 15th.
Yep.
Yeah, so
Friday the 17th, then I believe will be admin. Just the departments that report to admin,
is that
Morning or afternoon?
the morning. Then on the 20th in the morning will be HSC. On the 21st, I believe that will be Public Works. On the 22nd will be PSLA. These are set up for about 3-hour meetings, but they may go longer.
What time is that HSC one?
9. 21 would be 9, 22 would be not starting at 9, roughly going to 12, but may go longer.
so you said the 21st is Public Works.
Yes,
And then who was on the 22nd?
Yes.
PSLA.
PSLA.
Got it.
Then the regular admin is on the 23rd, that Thursday. And the most important meeting will be on Friday, the 24th, starting at 9. That's the reconciliation meeting.
Or poll board.
Or the budget committee, but as many people as possible should go there. And we're gonna have to balance the budget at that time.
Is that reconciliation meetings in the morning?
Start at 9. I think that one may last a long time.
And that's what day?
24th.
24th.
October 20th.
Yes.
I'll let you know. I'm coming.
All right.
So you're gonna send all this out. Do you want to chat? Just mention briefly about the gap.
So we initially identified a gap of $15.7 million. And that's consistent with some of the decks that I presented to the budget committee, and which I've distributed to you all. We were successful in the days after that of reducing that gap to $13.7 million, which is approximately 9% of our current 2025 revised budget. We got our first projection for end of year spending for 2025, and that projection suggests that this year we will use up the entire amount of our appropriated fund balance. that you must look at that as a tentative thing right now. Our team reviewed it, looking for flaws. Couldn't find any. I've asked Alan Ruffles to look at it and check to see if that is even in the ballpark. If that is true, and we have to start factoring that in, that's going to add to the budget gap because we had counted on spending $6.8 million carried over from spending this year to be available in 26. And if it's not, that will bring the budget gap to, I think about $24.2 million.
16 million, you said?
6 million.
6.8.
28, the carryover, which isn't gonna be.
Now, you know, we've been through this before, right? But the stakes are a lot higher and it is a dynamic situation. So we will be constantly updating you on this.
When I was asking you this before, but when you come into those, oh, do you mean this back? When we have those budget meetings and, you know, obviously you're gonna get more clarification about if all the budget's gonna be expended and those facts, but are you going to be making your recommendations about how we close that gap with each of our committees? 'Cause I feel like it needs to be all on the table is what I'm getting at.
It will be.
once. Okay.
We will balance the budget.
During those meetings, you're going to be presenting essentially a balanced budget
I will present that before that.
before. Okay.
Not meeting by meeting, but by total.
Right. So the department heads coming into our meetings will know what your recommendations are, and that essentially, will be part of what they'll be arguing against. Yeah,
Right.
got it.
I gotta tell you, we're down a person, right? This is way more complicated, way more extra work, and I am nervous about our ability to deliver by these deadlines. Right? I mean, we've already spent a string of weekends, and I gotta, I can't have these people falling down. This is detailed work on spreadsheets.
And yeah, and if they're not,
And
Right.
Yeah.
Steve, I forgot. I forgot to add that $1 billion in
Right.
there. or
after a
something.
while, your mind starts to jumble.
I mean,
But that's what we are
Yeah.
aiming to do.
no, I think for me, I think that we're having these meetings with our department heads, through our home committees. Like we should hopefully, even if it's not completely dialed in, we should at least have a general sense of
Yes.
how that gap needs to be closed and what that direct, broad strokes of that impact are on each of those departments when we have those meetings. Because they to go through all that work and then have the hammer drop after, right, doesn't make sense.
Understand.
So,
Well, it's just like last year, you guys presented a balanced budget and then the board added things in afterwards.
Right.
which it doesn't sound like we can really do this
You're
year.
not gonna be able to, and we kind of knew that
No
last year
flexibility.
based on, the things that were added in last year
Right.
are gonna cause a big jump this year as well, because it's only partially funded.
They're right. And the board asked us to significantly change the process. So here's the thing that is important. What I'm on the hook for is presenting a balanced budget by November 15th.
Mhm.
Okay? And that means publishing it in ClearGov and it's, so there's all that work. So what we have changed this year is before I present a balanced budget, right? The board will have had its say on October 24th. And that will become the tentative budget. What you will get beforehand because of the cuts, which we did not anticipate doing, right, is a balanced budget before October 24th. And how we got there specifically. That's the new workload that we're struggling with. But absolutely, it's totally clear that everyone has to see that.
Well, I mean, thanks to you and your staff for
Yeah.
the work that they've done there, because a lot of times, people have a tendency to shoot the messenger, and you're just
Right.
presenting the facts.
Please shoot someone
We,
else.
we, yeah, no,
Yeah, it's probably a bad terminology to use now.
right, no, yeah, no, exactly.
But you guys are just taking the data that's there and presenting it as it is, and it's a lot of work. Thank you to your staff for doing that. The board's the one that's gotta make the decisions,
Yeah,
not your staff doesn't make those decisions. You just find the information.
Yeah.
For us to review,
Yeah, exactly.
and the department heads.
I think one thing I'm hoping, and I don't know who, on your staff ultimately helps us move this forward, but I think part of what we need to do here too is, obviously you're bringing in the strategic planning element, but right now, as general public starts with, clearly that there hasn't been much publicity about the financial position the county's in. Sooner or later, that is gonna hit, and I think it's important that the just like you're talking about putting the budget on ClearGov, I think we need to make this finally accessible, and turn on the public facing part of ClearPlan. Because I think as the public, is looking for more information, this is the best we can give them right now. And I think part of this also, unfortunately for our department heads who aren't doing the quarterly updates,
Why is it?
that's that, I mean, if they're not gonna do it, then from a public perspective, if general public's looking at your department and you're not giving us any information, to the board, and you're not giving to the public, that I think one way or another, we have to, there has to be, more pressure, yeah, and accountability.
I
So,
just don't know, I mean, I don't know, their department, if you're gonna have time to,
well,
I don't know.
I think it's just a switch piece, or are you saying for time to tell them? I think we have been telling them that we're gonna make this public.
I just know that Jacinda had inputting some department's information.
Yes,
Right,
And so that's not gonna happen even if they send it to someone at this point in time.
right,
there's
they don't
no
have the
budget. So
capacity, yeah,
to put this out there right now for everyone to see just isn't really an accurate picture right now, though.
well, no, it's not very good.
yeah. Yeah, the updates we have,
No, not just the updates. What people have changed their strategic plans,
right,
right? They've updated them and stuff, but there's some of them that are just not very good. But quite aside from those relative few, okay? The financial situation we face on 1/1/26 is going to be substantially different from what it was in 25 or 24. You think about these strategic plan things and the essential activities, et cetera, et cetera. We don't want to be in a boom bust situation going forward. Right? I think the way going forward is first off, like starting on January 2nd, start changing the strategic plan to reflect the new budget. Putting that out there very clearly that shows what we're not doing. Or what we are doing with the money that we have.
Right, you're saying right now, the plan, if we put it out there right now, we have elements that are not, We're not gonna
They're not
deliver.
gonna implement.
right, they're not gonna be
Right.
able to.
We're gonna have a series of,
Right.
and
so
maybe
you're-
that is
We need to
appropriate,
have, yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's.
but quarterly updates, thanks to budget cuts, we are unable to do
Right.
this.
Which is
Yes.
literally what
Yes.
people would write. Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
Right.
they should.
Yeah.
They,
Right.
with all justification, they should be writing that. Yeah,
So I think if we,
I don't want to massage it over, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think they should pull that stuff out of the plan.
No, I don't think so either. I think it should be noted that we're not doing the service this year because we don't have the funding.
Right.
so
What we're doing, what we're not doing.
you've got to understand this. This is not like a regular budget cut. Okay? Right. What is driving this one, right, is we don't have the revenue.
Right.
source,
Right.
Which means whatever we thought we were providing in terms of services, right, we cannot provide that. So we know, this is from memory, right? But for the last 5 years, our expenses have been going up about 12 million a year. Our revenues only about 7. So there's got to be 5 million a year increase. That's got to cumulative. That's got to go. That will get you roughly the sharp cut that's going to happen this year. I thought we could smooth this out going to the end of the decade when I would be retired, hopefully, but but we can't.
I guess for me too, in not knowing what is mandated versus what is not mandated, I think is gonna be really important going forward.
Yes,
So if the state or feds mandate we do this, okay, we have to. If it's not, but it's something that we do as a service, then we really need to look at it.
so
So we need to know that
right.
by each department.
So I think essentially you're gonna have to. We shouldn't sugarcoat anything, right? And I don't think we will by the end of this year. At least I'm not. See Dave's earlier comment about Messenger. But we've got to get in a situation so that the only expense increases we have are that 7 million on average revenue. Unless we do so. And there are some big issues for the board to decide. We've got capital projects that we've been, perhaps, I'm not sure, they have been kicking down the road for a while. I don't know, but we can't afford those along the timeline that we were thinking, I don't think. So that may have to change. There were also big increases in salaries for folks and upcoming into the labor, and we may have to trim that down. We tell you this every quarter, right? We carry in the budget way more positions than we actually have on board. I think it's something like 500, this year is like 570 positions budgeted, and maybe 450, 460 on board at any time. So
And what about the county health insurance? Is that something that we can look at as well too?
that is being looked at and is the subject of labor negotiations. But that is one of our principal cost drivers. And as, those of you who were at admin and saw that presentation, that's one where we don't have a lot of flexibility on, but it's a big cost increase. And so I think we got to start thinking like in 5-year chunks, right? And to see if we can get this sustainable, not just in terms of revenues and expenses. I'm a budget weaning person. So I think in terms of numbers, but we got to think in terms of services, what we can provide. Yeah. I mean, and all this is hugely, and the public has communicated what's important to it. And of course, as Michelle has just suggested, what our public thinks is important versus what the voters of the state of New York think is important is often different. So, all right, I think I'm just
So-
kind of often.
So, but, no, I think that, this is all obviously helpful, but, going back to the strategic plan, is there a general idea of us making that public? I mean, I personally think after kind of just, thinking more about how this is gonna play out, I think the public needs access to all the information we have.
I think somebody should make a motion at the board meeting.
To go on record.
Turn it on.
Okay. I guess the bigger question for us, we have 4 out of, of our group right now, either consensus amongst us that we make this live, at whatever point in the near future before, as this budget process is playing out.
I would, if the board so voted on October 1st, we would make it live before the end of the week.
Right. I know it's just a settings issue. Yeah. Personally, I think the information, even though we're missing some quarterly updates, there's still a good majority of our department heads that are putting the effort in and doing good work. And not to say that people who aren't inputting aren't doing good work. We're just not seeing the information in this plan. So, I just think now is the time, the public is going to wonder what's going on, and we put money and time into this. And I think this is good supplemental information for them right now.
So then in 26, how is this year's strategic plan gonna look different there? Will it show both? Will it show 25s or will it just
So it'll
have,
just be
it'll just be the heading and then,
it'll just be different things.
okay.
And we'll probably have to. It turns out this is one of the things I don't like about the software kind of version control. Probably what we'll have to do is next year. I'll probably have to get up and at a board meeting and do a little PowerPoint about, we had to change things because of the budget, blah, 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 that kind of thing.
Yeah, because as soon as they go in there and make like whatever window they did their updates for 26, it all just merges together. So there's no,
Right, so
we
you can't see
can't
last year's versus
yeah.
this year's.
but I mean, at this point, it's locked, right? So they can't really go in and make substantial changes. But I mean, that the argument could be like maybe, after we roll into next year, if we feel that we absolutely need to do another update, we could do that if we feel like, but I
Just
think,
leave all the titles that are in there and everything, and then
Yeah.
just make note for 26, not providing the service due to budget.
Right.
yeah, I think we move into next year. Having them, make those kinds of updates with the services we have to cut. I think, because it serves as a benchmark for our constituents as well. You know, because if there's services that they really value, they may not even understand that. And, you know, and so then moving forward, I mean, this just gives us,
We could also, we would have to do this. Gotta get the budget out. But I saw this a couple of times in the federal budget, which was just, these services have been eliminated in the current budget. Like a report. And we could do that and, you know, publish it on the February 1 meeting.
yeah, I mean, I think that,
That might have more impact
yeah,
rather
It's a
than
summary.
software. Let me just explain, it occurs to me, it might be helpful, the public outreach part for this budget. Okay, so we're kind of talking about this in open session. We generally haven't done that. Of course, our budget workshops are open, but I think the first big time that the public is going to get an understanding of what we're facing is the November board meeting.
Mhm.
I will do, and I've done this every year, a fairly detailed PowerPoint that shows what we're doing. At the same time, or a day or two later, the ClearGov budget document in all the detail will be made available, will be turned on. As it's currently scheduled now, I am anticipating the regular budget hearing to be Thanksgiving week, like the Monday or the Tuesday. Remember, that's an evening meeting. And that, you know, we will get some updates from that. And if history is to be believed, there will be relatively few changes. And so the board will adopt on 12/3, which or the December board meeting, I think it's right. That will give the public almost a month to dig into the details. And if they follow the news, you know, they'll know that stuff is you know, big changes are coming, and it will give them plenty of time to go to the budget hearing if they wish. We need that time to create all the documents. Okay, so
so what, Dave, I know you have to leave.
Yeah.
Is there, just to go back to the knowing kind of the process and everything, are we in support of bringing this idea, as Steve's suggesting, just a resolution, I guess, to the board for, you know, just making sure we're all on record,
Right.
making it public facing?
Yeah, I think we need to. We absolutely.
Okay.
The worst thing we
You're
could
good.
do is
Okay.
keep it.
Yeah, especially given the challenges we're talking
Yeah.
about facing this year. So, okay, so we'll, I don't know if I,
Can ask Denise to put it ahead.
yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's probably the best approach, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. Yeah, so we'll,
I
Yeah.
mean, Carol might be able to advise us on
Okay.
this, or Denise.
okay.
I'll certainly raise it, at least
It's
opinion.
just a formality, I think, that we've already been talking about making it public
Right.
facing, so we just want to go on record
Mhm.
and have the board.
I don't
Yeah,
think,
we've been tweaking it the whole year, we're trying
Right.
to have it, let's get it out the next quarter.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. So, I mean, I think we'll,
I anticipate getting the information from the people that haven't on this yellow
No.
sheet.
Oh,
not at this point. Yeah.
Right. They're just not getting, not being cooperative or just not doing it or.
Some of them are not being cooperative, but at this point, everyone is focused on their budget.
Right, I'm sure this is not on their priority list at the moment.
This process, this strategic plan process, CSLs, current service levels and all that is substantially more work than department heads have been asked to do in the past. And so it's kind of rough, right?
Yeah,
They're fine once they understand, right? Most of them are doing just fine, just great work, but I just think we need to, this is really a sea change in the management of the county.
Some of them are doing it on their own
Yes,
because just good business sense.
it is, but pulling it all together means a single format, deadlines, and department heads are already stretched, and they will be significantly stressed next year.
Anything
So,
else before us to go?
no, I think that's it. We'll just bring that from the floor. So I think I'm hoping we can just put the TSP committee on that resolution. So, or just, can it only be one board member that brings, I'll have to ask
I
Carol.
don't know, yeah.
So, because our committee doesn't
Right.
have any authority
Right.
to vote.
Well, don't you theoretically have to, when you make a motion, you have to go through admin?
No, we're saying this will come from the floor.
Okay.
Yeah, because we obviously we missed admin
Yeah.
for this month, and so
Well, you can either put all of our names on it or.
that's
just
what I'm
yours
thinking.
or-
Yeah, no, I think I'm just gonna ask Carol, can we just put TSP committee, all of our names for the committee? I'm sure Nora will be in support. I'll check with her. And then we'll just bring it as a late resolution.
Yeah.
Alternatively, you could just put Nora's name on there.
Yeah, just Nora.
She's not here.
Exactly. No, I think that's it, Dave. We're gonna,
Here,
yeah, I think we're good, right, Steve?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Please.
so,
Please, Jeremy.
I think,
need a motion.
Second.
got it. Everyone's good with the journey.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
thanks.
Recording stopped.